Okay, welcome. So excited to meet you in person,
Yeah,
in real life.
yes, for sure. And I want to just say, is Steven your son? He's
No, I have
30.
a son named Steven, but Steven is my husband.
Okay, Steven has done an amazing job you guys have done an amazing job with this entire process for this summit, and I'm really grateful to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll give him props for that because, it's really great when you are married to somebody who possesses the skills that you do not. I am the great visionary. I am the big idea person, and I am the one that forgets the details and goes on trips and packed no socks for anyone in the family. So we could truly not put on the productions that we put on without Stephen Walker in the background, making sure that all the, you know, eh, like yesterday, I was talking to a speaker that we added in last minute because we had somebody who was not available, had a last minute thing come up. All her computers got fried in 1 week, and so she's like, "I really can't be on. I'm replacing all my computers." So I added somebody in last minute, and gave him the details. He's like, "So how do I get on?" I was like, "Oh yeah, here's a link." So Steven's the one that makes sure not everybody has that experience with us. So awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on today. We're going to have a great conversation. Um, let's go ahead and have everybody right now. I want you to do one thing for me. So our next conversation that we're going to be having is around solve, don't sell. What is one problem that you solve for your clients? Go ahead and type that into the chat box and tell us what is the problem that you solve. Those of you who are watching on Facebook right now, I'm Amy Walker and this is Heather Doring, and we are going to be doing an interview for the next 30 minutes. And if you want to join us actually in the chat room, we're going to post a link. If you want a playback for all of the interviews that we're going to be doing today, and we are going from 9 till about 4:30 today, if you want all of the playbacks, then we're going to post the registration link, and you need to make sure that you actually get registered, because if I don't have your email, I can't send you all the playbacks. I just don't possess that skill. So let me go ahead and introduce Heather. So Heather is a natural born connector. She's people passionate. She works diligently to make connections, build others up, and leave the world a little better than it was yesterday. Her company is Ace Strategies, and they throw a LinkedIn lifeline B2B professionals, they help LinkedIn professionals who struggle to develop leads and meaningful relationships. She helps them to craft impactful personal brands on LinkedIn. And I just have to tell you, LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms, and we have to do LinkedIn better. And I'm sure, Heather, you would agree with that. It's getting a little spammy on LinkedIn. It is a great platform, and I love this platform. So people, we got to clean it up and do better.
Yes, and that's how you and I initially connected. We were LinkedIn connections, so it works.
Absolutely. I know that's the great thing about LinkedIn is and this is how we connected. We were searching for people that would be a good fit for training our audience. And you can actually research who those people are, find them, and then effectively reach out to them. So Heather's also an active member of the Plymouth, Michigan Chamber of Commerce. She chairs their annual gala. She owns IN3 Network, which provides inspiration, information, and innovation to women entrepreneurs. And she is the mom of two amazing young men, which I love because I'm a mom of 5 boys. So boy club, boy moms in the house today.
Yes, very
Awesome.
good.
So
Yeah,
welcome,
well,
Heather. We're so
thanks.
excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And it was interesting listening to your story at the beginning because I went through very similar let's go to the mall. I was in direct sales when I was very young and went to the mall, and I had one director say, wear your a scent, a perfume when you go to Home Depot. And so I tried all that, but what that did for me was shape this negative impression of what sales really is.
Mhm.
And I carry that for, I still fight against that, right? I don't want to be that person. Or you walk into the furniture store and you're bombarded by people who, it's like the vultures, right? And none of us want to be that salesperson. So how do you do it differently? And I've been on a journey the last 2.5 years. I've actually been part of a sales training process. I'm a client with a sales training company, and that has helped me. I wouldn't be sitting here today in business for myself had I not taken those steps to understand that what I'm doing isn't selling, but solving, right? Because none of us want to be sold to. We want our challenges and issues and struggles and pain points and things to be addressed and ultimately solved. Because at the end of the day, that's our goal, right? It's not to be spending money on things, it's to be finding things that are going to enrich our life.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I want to point out there is that I think that we all get started somewhere, okay? And we all may have had moments in the beginning where we fell down, we scraped our knees, we bombed. And if you think about, yesterday, I'll give you an example. My two youngest were running up the stairs chasing each other. One of them threw a gigantic stuffed animal at the other, and he fell down half a flight of stairs. And he's crying, and he's my most dramatic child. And within 10 minutes, he's walking back up the stairs again. And I think we have to remember that what you did in the beginning, if when you first got started with sales, you bombed, you fell down, you scraped your knees, and you got this that feels creepy to me, I don't want to do that again. Okay, so the next time you walk up the stairs, don't throw a giant stuffed animal at your brother. Do it differently. I think it's really important to understand that it's those early experiences that we have with sales, we don't have to lament them or regret them. We just have to learn from them. Like for me, my big takeaway was I need to know how to generate leads so that I'm not because if it came down to feeding my family, I'd go stalk some business people in Home Depot, or I'd go hit up the Office Max and try to make some contacts. But there are so many better ways to meet new contacts and build meaningful relationships and solve problems. So I'm excited to get to dig in and hear from you. So let's start off with understanding who your ideal client is. Because I think we do waste time just chasing people instead of knowing exactly who we want to connect with.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, most of us, I would venture most of us that are on today are in relationship businesses. And Trish had alluded to the fact that it's all about relationships. Well, every part of business really is, unless it's 30 below zero and your furnace goes out and you've got to have a solution right this second, that's a transactional purchase. But most of the other things that we do throughout life, as far as business owners and the people who are probably listening in today, we're relationship people. Let's face it, we know probably, 10, 15 other people who do exactly what you do or exactly what I do. So why would somebody choose us? And it's because they're invested in that. So I wanted to say that before I jump into identifying who really understanding business owners and the people who are. Are you getting an echo?
I did get an echo and I fixed it. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
Face, I was like, uh-oh, what did I just push that made an echo, but I fixed it.
All right. Well, you get to hear that sentence twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find I'm a marketer. I'm a digital marketer. That's what my craft is. And there is such a crossover between sales and marketing now, because basically your marketing, it's almost the same. And I have a degree in psychology, and so much of what I've come to understand, especially these last 4 to 5 years, is, as I mentioned earlier, we are as consumers interested in having our issues, needs, and challenges met. And so that's a very personal and specific thing. So as a salesperson, we need to understand exactly who our who is so that we can present the solutions to their challenges and issues. And if you're not able to really hone in, and we all want to work with an expert, right? So if I'm not picking on real estate agents because I love you all dearly, but let's say that I'm a real estate agent and my marketing strategy is I can buy or sell for anybody. Well, that may be true. How do you market that to anybody? Because we all want to work with an expert. Whereas if you come at it from an angle of, I work with, first time millennial home buyers who are looking for that awesome starter home, that's a differentiator. And so not only is that a marketing strategy, but it's also giving you somewhere to start looking for those people, right? And those people want to work with somebody who's going to solve their problems, not solve somebody else's problems. So really understanding that who, and when you think you know who they are, dig just a little bit deeper, but understand not only, you know, the demographic pieces, age, gender, geography, but what are their issues and challenges? If and I sometimes hear people say, well, you know, I work with, I do a lot of B2B. My business is B2B based, so you know, I work with small businesses between 20 and, you know, $2 and $20 million. Oh, that's great, but that's that's a lot of businesses. So how do you?
And the problems that you have at $2 million are real different than the problems you have at
Yes.
$20 million. And so you won't reach everybody in the same campaign. And that's one thing I think you have to differentiate is, yes, I can serve all of these people, but I can only attract these people at once. I can't attract them all at once. So I've got to get clear on who am I going fishing for, and make sure that I'm using the right language to attract in the right people. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's okay to be that expert in more than one area, but you need to, like you said, use the words and the language for the specific verticals that you're going after.
Yeah.
Really important to make things as personal as possible. So yeah, so that's that understand part. And if you don't truly understand and identify who those people are, you're not gonna be able to find them, right? You know, it's, again, it's going back to, I use LinkedIn a lot as a prospecting tool. And one of the great things about LinkedIn, as well as if you're running Facebook ads or whatever, is there are filtering criteria. So you are able to then really narrow down on who are those people. And then once you figure out who they are, you can find where they are. You don't need to be on every social media platform. You don't need to be marketing in every opportunity that comes your way. You need to identify that who, and then you identify those top 2 or 3 focuses that are going to allow you to find them and for them to find you.
Awesome. You know, that's one of my favorite things about LinkedIn, and I think it's one of the least understood parts of LinkedIn, is that they really have built opportunities for you to find your leads and research your leads. Sales Navigator is a beautiful tool. Like I can go in, any one of you could give me, here's my ideal client, and I could go in and say, here's 5,000 of them. The right size of business, the right phase of business, the right industry, the right position. Like here's literally thousands of them, because LinkedIn is the largest professional database out there. And you can search it like a database if you're using Sales Navigator. So it really is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, and there are other tools. Many public libraries have access to something called Reference USA. I mean, there are a lot of places. LinkedIn is my favorite, and it's easy and it's in front of me, but there are other opportunities to really find people. But I think, you know, that one of the important things to recognize is, okay, so we figured out who they are, we're going to find them, but do you have a process in place to actually connect? Right. And what is your strategy, and what works and what doesn't? And I think a lot of times we don't track. I'm terrible at numbers. I was great at math, but as far as statistics and tracking and all of that, I'm terrible at it. However, how do you know what works, what doesn't, if you don't have anything to measure against, right? It's that whole adage of, I'm going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Well, how do you know what sticks if you're not even sure what got you to the place you're at in this moment? So it's really important to define and identify a sales process, everything from how do you prospect, then what happens once you've made that connection.
Yeah.
And then that connection piece oftentimes is that thing that we all cringe against, right? Okay, we're connected. Now I'm going to jump in for the sell, and you vomit 18 minutes of information at somebody who may not even have a problem. And
so I want to dig into this, because this is something I have personally been getting a lot of questions about. And I want to ask all of you who are watching, how many of you are currently using LinkedIn? If you're currently using LinkedIn, say, I'm using LinkedIn. If you're not, say, I'm not using LinkedIn. I'm not asking, are you on the platform or not? Because I know people who are on the platform, but their profile picture is 20 years old and it says an old job. Okay. I mean, are you using it? All right. So tell us if you're using it or not. We've got some of both. Okay. So those of you who are using the platform, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are going to start using the platform, you can avoid this. But right now, if I pulled up LinkedIn and screen shared with you, I would probably have 50 sales pitches in my inbox. Okay. I don't really know these people, but they've connected with me, and then they'll send me a quick reach out that is like, hey, it's great to be connected. I love having other people in my network. And then the very next one is a sales pitch, and they almost all look the same. So what I want to know is, how are you avoiding that? Because that used to work like 3-4 years ago on LinkedIn. That worked. Now there's too much of it. There's so many people doing it. So how are you reaching out and starting those connections through the platform?
So, we've got a three-pronged approach to LinkedIn that has worked really well for us and our clients over the last year. Excuse me. That first is that initial connection. But once you've made that connection, it's not time for a sales pitch. I have to share this because I get those all the time as well. And the funniest one I ever received was maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago. This man had reached out to me asking me to connect. So I looked at his profile, and I always look because if it's somebody who has a job where in their title, all they want is either you or your network, it's okay to say no. That's something really important about LinkedIn. They're not going to get some message, well, Heather rejected your LinkedIn request. It's okay to just click ignore. It's your right as a human being. But this man sent me a connection request. I accepted and immediately got a message back that said, I'm curious why you reached out and connected, which I didn't. And then he went on to list 7 paragraphs of all of the accolades and awards and places he's spoken and all this stuff about him. And I just thought, are you joking? Why are you wasting my time? Because I don't care, right? We're so busy that if someone doesn't take a minute to get to know us a little bit, what's the point?
Sure.
So I immediately disconnected from him. But that initial, when that connection request, the one that you send out, should be personalized. It shouldn't be the LinkedIn recommended we connect. Who cares, right? There should be something personal in there. And then when somebody accepts that, thank them. Thank you for connecting, and add some value and start to build a relationship, because everything about sales, everything about speaking, everything about business is about relationships, because we're inundated with messaging constantly. I've read over the last couple months or so, I've seen 2 different statistics. One is that we make, we make somewhere between 20 and 35,000 decisions a day. And I said that to a client not long ago, and so he didn't believe me. And the next morning, he said, I started counting in the shower how many decisions I made. And by the time I got out of the shower, 5 minutes later, I was over 100 decisions, and it
crazy.
Stop. So when you think about that from a business perspective, we all know we need to differentiate, we need to stand out, we need to do all these things that we're told to do. But the reason is because if you don't capture somebody's interest and attention, they've got 19,999 other things to think about, right? So if you make the effort to start to build a relationship, find out about them. What are their challenges? How can you support? What does a good connection look like? And this is more for the, the LinkedIn side of it. But even a prospect that you're cold calling, if you're able to put a pattern interrupt out there and I don't cold call because it's one of those things that I'm like, oh, just that's against me. But there are businesses and companies where that still is a viable option. But whatever your strategy is, you need to be different from everybody else.
I will say, if you are in a business where you do need to prospect and you do need to cold call, I'm going to recommend a book called How to Get a Meeting with Anyone by Stu Heineck. And
Oh,
it's a warm call. He doesn't say that, but that's how I think of it. The difference between
okay.
a cold call and a warm call is you're still proactively reaching out to them, but if you'll use some of Stu's strategies, they know who you are before you call. And so that makes it a warmer call. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of things with regards to how you structure the flow of the conversations when you're prospecting. So, like, very first one you said was say, thank you for accepting my friend request, or it's not, that's
Yes.
called
Yeah.
connection request. And then what would you send them next? Like, how do you get them to start a conversation with you?
Yep. And the strategy that we use is it's a method called BEEP. It's build, engage, educate, and then promote. Um,
Okay.
and this is not my method. This is we work with a third party um, company that does automates a lot of what we do for us, so that
And
we
go
can
through those again. So it's build and then,
build, build, engage,
okay.
educate, and then promote. So a lot of times, especially in LinkedIn, what we do is we make those connections. And so a couple things happen. Either you make a connection and somebody will jump straight to the sale, or you'll make a connection. And even if you send that thanks for connecting, that person goes into that void of never to be seen or heard from again. So what we do is we set up an ongoing campaign that is geared with the goal of building relationships with people who really are interested in doing that. So after we do that thank you, the next thing that we send out is typically some sort of a credibility piece, whether it's a white paper, something that's adding value. It could be a tip sheet, it could be even a question. We're doing a survey, and would you be willing to give us a little bit of insight into things that are a challenge for you. So it's something that's going to start a conversation, but at the end of the day, it's also something that's going to add value to that individual and present you as somebody different from everybody else going after them, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a credibility piece that comes into play, and then and this is spaced out over a few weeks. So it's not like every day you're sending them something, because that's scammy too, right? So then the next piece that we send is often a check-in. Are you, maybe it's a question, who makes a good referral partner for you? Are there ways that we can um, help build your business? What is a challenge that you're facing right now that we might be able to connect you with somebody who could help with that? And one of the things that I always stress to my connections is my goal on LinkedIn is to be a resource and a connector for others.
Mm-hmm.
So if you approach it from, and this is life, right? How can I help somebody else, as opposed to, it's all about me. That's not just business. That's how life works better when we approach things that way.
Yes.
Start to build that relationship and start the conversation. And let's be honest, most people probably are not going to engage, but they're not probably the ones you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be people that start to engage, and then it's important to have that be a back and forth. And you'll get to a point where it makes sense to talk business, and use it from not only their perspective of, is it worth their time engaging with you, but from your perspective. You can get a pretty good feel of somebody's kind of coming at you, and you get that creepy feeling like they just want something from me, right? So you don't want to be that person, but you also can screen for those people. And this was just a strategy I employed a couple of years ago. I was that person that went to every meeting. Anyone who wanted to meet, let's have coffee. That I was driving all over town. I would get there, and typically it was somebody wanting to sell me or get access to my network 99% of the time. So one of the strategies I've employed personally is, if it's not somebody I know or a direct referral from somebody that I know well, I do a screening phone call first.
Uh-huh.
Just a little tip. But yeah, so that process then it's one that that starts with adding value and engaging and building that relationship. And then it comes to, let's talk business.
Absolutely. And I want to add in a couple of, because I love giving really concrete takeaways. And I feel like this process right here, this is a really concrete takeaway. And I want to add a couple things in there that we do as well that have helped us. Because when I look at all the platforms and I think, where have we had the most actual business come through, like the most actual sales? I would put LinkedIn as number one. I would put Facebook as number two, but YouTube is coming up as our number three, which will, I think, totally replace Facebook. It just takes a little time to get it going. But LinkedIn, I think, will continue to be that just solid, great contributor. So a couple things that we have done that have worked really well in the past is interviewing people and finding people to interview through LinkedIn. So we've done like interviews for research for a book that we were writing. We've done that, and those have performed really well. We've done interviewing people for our radio show and our podcast. That's done really well. We've done interviewing people to be guests on our YouTube channel, interviewing people to come on summits like this and co-collaborate together. And sometimes the way that the strategy goes is it goes interview, and then during the interview, we find some challenges and problems that we have. And I say, hey, would you like to set up another call where I can tell you what my recommendations are for that? And it just goes that fast. Sometimes it's a collaboration where I'm going to interview you and we're both going to promote it to our people. And now my audience meets you, your audience meets me. So the interviews have been our highest response rate, hands down. Like when you ask to interview someone, most of the time they say yes. The other thing that has been really effective for us is spending consistently 10 minutes a day on the platform, engaging with people, engaging with their content, or the people who engage on my content, sending them a personal message saying, hey, thanks so much for sharing my post. I really appreciated that. Or thanks so much for your comment today. Tell me a little bit more about you. And just starting a real conversation. So don't just spend all of your time focusing on the connections. Go other places in the platform and communicate in other ways too.
Absolutely. And I had alluded to a 3-tier approach that we use. So that connection piece is one. That's a third of it. It's probably not even a third. It's probably a quarter of where your time and effort should be. But then ongoing, right? Birthday wishes. LinkedIn they've got that notification tab at the top. Send personalized birthday greetings, not click happy birthday. Type a message. It takes 5 seconds to sit there and type a message. And I'm going to give you guys a freebie fun thing that I discovered not that long ago. It's called a text expander. Are you familiar with those, Amy?
I'm not.
Okay, they're really cool. I use one it's a Chrome extension. It's called Text Blaze, Blaze. And you can set up a common message that you would, whether it's an email signature, or sometimes I'll set them up for when somebody reaches out to me on LinkedIn. I have one, thank you for connecting or reaching out. I look forward to learning about you. I'll type Dear Sue, and then this text expander, you put your text in and you assign it a little code like a \LIN for LinkedIn or like that. And wherever you are, whether you're in Gmail or you're online, if you type \LIN, it populates that message.
Oh, cool.
So it's pretty cool. So for birthday greetings and things like that, you can have a very personalized message without having to copy and paste or to type it over and over and over again if you set up something like a text expander. So that once you've made those connections, the ongoing communication with your first connections continue to add value. We set up drip campaigns that are information-based for clients. So after we've connected, then we'll maybe send them a helpful video 6 months from now, or a helpful tip, or whatever. It's more of that education piece of it. But we'll do that on an ongoing basis because I've got 6,000 connections. Many of us have many, many connections, most of whom are not really ever going to be engaging with us. But for those that do, if you can stay in front of them, it's a good thing. And then for that content piece, I'm not at all shocked that your interviews are tops. People love video. especially good video. And now, you know, the video piece is getting really spammy on all social, right? Because video's the king and the queen. And, but people are doing bad video. So if you're going to do video, do good video. Keep it short, you know, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. The interview concept is great because it's adding credibility to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just you sitting there talking about this, that, and the other thing. It's somebody else is investing their time with you. And the posts that we see that have the most impact are the ones that actually have somebody's face, not a I can't think of the photos, that the stock photos, but
Mm-hmm.
your face, we build out graphics for clients for Tuesday tip or reflections and anything that has your actual physical image in it. And it seems kind of weird putting your face out there all the time, but from a psychological perspective, it builds a subconscious connection. When
Mm-hmm.
someone sees your face, it builds that credibility and that trust piece, and it's not genuine or authentic, but it's a reality. So that's so back to that content piece. Yeah.
Okay, so we are just about out of time. Time flies so
Man,
fast.
I'm
Isn't that crazy?
sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with a couple of rapid questions here. So
Okay.
the first question is, if they want, because there's some questions in the chat, you know, people are asking, specifics about the LinkedIn platform. Where do they connect with you? What would you like them to do in order to get in your pool so you can share more with them and continue the conversation?
Yep. So I will type my email in the chat here. Okay, there's my email. So feel free to reach out. And I want to add one more thing about the sales process. We often assume we know what people's issues and challenges are, and we jump to a solution. It's really important to ask questions and to dig deep and to have them, and going back to what Trish said, that emotional sales it's an emotional thing. And it's important to really understand, not assume, but to really truly understand the needs and challenges that people are facing so that you can solve.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's the difference between when we think of the negative sales experience, they're trying to sell you something you don't want, don't need, right?
Right.
You don't want or don't need. And some of the people are just listening in. So we're going to actually say what your email address is as well. It's heather@kickacestrategies.com. kickacestrategies.com. So Heather, last three questions. What do you want them to remember? What's the one thing you want them to remember from our conversation today?
I'm stumped. I want you to remember to build relationship.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it.
Yep.
And then second question is, what do you want them to feel based on the conversation that we've had today?
I want you to feel empowered that it's okay to do it. It's beyond okay. You should be doing things differently. So be empowered to actually get to know people a little bit.
Awesome. And what do you want them to do? What's the one action step that if they all went and did it would make you feel like that was totally a good use of my time today?
Ask great questions of your prospects and connections to foster that solve instead of sell.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Heather, thank you so much for being on with us today. Those of you who are here, what I want you to do is I want you to take one takeaway from Heather's conversation, and I want you to go and share it on your social media right now and tag Heather in it. Make sure you get connected with her so that you can stay a part of the conversation. And also so that everybody knows that we are doing this awesome summit today and they are welcome to come and join us. So Heather, thank you so much. We're going to say goodbye. You guys thank Heather in the comments. Let her know you appreciate her time. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the amazing Shay Brown. So Shay, let me come find you in here.